The fifth Democratic debate just ended, and it featured 10 candidates: former Vice President Joe Biden, Senator Bernie Sanders, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, all of whom are, polling frontrunners by every metric, as well as Senator Kamala Harris, who once bragged about being a frontrunner, but has plummeted in the polls at least. Businessman Andrew Yang, Senator Amy Klobuchar, Representative Tulsi Gabbard, Tom Steyer, a businessman and donor, and Senator Cory Booker. So let's get to it. Big winners, in my view. So I thought Bernie Sanders had a very good debate. I wouldn't say that relative to his place in the polling when he's in the top three that he was the biggest winner. I'll get to that in a second, but very solid, stood out specifically in terms of foreign policy for the voters that care about that, and which should be more, in my view. And I think, he got to throw in his line, "I wrote the damn bill," which was great. And I think he did really well. So I thought the first debate, he did not do well at all. The third debate, when he was very hoarse, he did not do well either. And he had bounce back performances in the second and fourth. Specifically, the second was phenomenal. Both him and Warren, but him specifically. This was good. This wasn't on par with the second debate performances, if you guys are keeping track, but very good. Kamala Harris stood out to me. So I don't agree with her. I don't think she'd be a good progressive, but she stood out as a winner because her campaign is predicated on the notion that she's a front runner, and that's very important to her perception. Her averaging at like 4% in the polls is not good, and yet she spoke a ton and was in the middle of a lot of scrums and didn't get dirty with Bernie or Warren, but she had a standout moment where Joe Biden forgot she existed and said that the only African-American female senator is endorsing me. And she was like, "I'm right here." And that was a moment that's going to be replayed over and over and over again. And I think people are going to pay attention. And the way she laughed at it, I think people are going to like it. Now, not everyone's making these decisions based on policy. I'm talking about what's going to play, and that's going to play. So I think she was a big winner, and her team will be very happy. So those are the two ones that stand out. I mean, Buttigieg, everyone talked about how they were going to go after him. No one really did except Tulsi Gabbard. And I don't think those stuck as much as her, as other attacks that she's done in the past have stuck. But yeah, no one really did. Kamala Harris was teed up to go after him and didn't. And Bernie and Warren, endlessly frustrating, won't go after anyone. I guess, that's the kind of people they are. But yeah, Warren had a fine debate. It was just fine. Joe Biden imploded. I alluded to that moment before, but when we were talking about marijuana policy and when the debate was, I'm sorry, I'm really tired, and Cory Booker brought up the fact that he says he won't legalize marijuana and said it seemed like you were high when you said it, and then he forgot Kamala Harris's existed as a female black senator mere seconds later. That was an unfortunate sequence. And before that, it wasn't much better. He looked bewildered. He sounded terrible. His entire campaign is predicated on this paper tiger that he's the only one who can defeat Donald Trump. So he kept going back to that. He kept hiding behind Obama, who still hasn't endorsed you, dude, and everyone's paying attention. And it didn't play. It looked really bad. He did not look good. He really did not. Tom Steyer had some interesting moments where he tried to talk about how he was the only candidate that was going to push forward climate change as his number one issue. But, I don't know if that specifically landed because we saw that with Inslee, and, he's no longer in the race. And so are we really going to pretend like we don't think Bernie Sanders would take climate change seriously? I think, obviously, we all know that. So there were other losers, I think. Amy Klobuchar, bleh, although, for some reason, the crowd seemed to like some of her lines. But the real loser, truly, was Joe Biden. I mean, we've been waiting for these terrible debate performances to kind of culminate in one bad overall debate. He'd had bad moments, but still was kind of trudging along. This was a terrible debate. He didn't have one good moment, except for a surprisingly strong answer on Saudi Arabia when it came just to Jamal Khashoggi. But then, as I mentioned earlier, Bernie completely obliterated that. So, yeah, Biden was the big loser, and it's not close.